Okay, you found the land, the location works, the market supports it. But before we deploy capital, there's a critical phase that most agents never see. And that's what we're going to talk through today. Let's get it. So, worst case scenario, you have a large parcel of land that you get to sell. Best case scenario, this turns into a development project and we're running it all the way through. There's just so many things you can't control. So, first, physical and environmental constraints, water features, wetlands, floodplains, topography, slope, permanent buffers that will reduce yield. A lot of this is about how many lots can we squeeze into this parcel and how much of this actual acreage is buildable. Because we're going to lose, you got to remember, on most standard lots, we're going to lose about 30% of the land. Okay. This 30% goes to streets and retaining ponds and sidewalks. And so our goal is to get the highest yield at the price point we're focused on in that neighborhood, because margin and revenue and profit all comes per lot. So the more lots we can do, the more phases we can do, the more money everybody can make on this project, and the better this project will be. These are key constraints you don't negotiate with. They're permanent. Anything that is physical, topography, land, these are those things where it's like cheap land becomes an expensive development, and sometimes expensive land becomes a cheap development. And that second one, where the land's a little more expensive but the development is like streamlined, that's the key, right? Now, obviously, if we can get cheap and good for development, everybody's winning, right? All right, number 2, subsurface and hidden constraints, what you don't see. This brings in a geotechnical study, soil quality, bearing capacity, easements, and transmission lines, right? Transmission lines, power, gas, and sewer. Are there easements that the county or the city has running through this parcel? Are they going to put up a power line run right through the middle of this neighborhood? In my local area, we actually have a neighborhood that is very high end, very nice homes, custom style homes in a neighborhood. Very desirable. The thing sold all the way through, but there was one road that they pushed this neighborhood into. Now, this is where lot yield versus the restraints of what's actually happening don't match up, right? Leaving these lots out would have been a better decision. They literally have, it's a cul-de-sac, and you come down the road, and about halfway down that road, power line running right through easement. I mean, the big power lines that you see go for miles and miles, it cuts right through. And then on the other side of it is this cul-de-sac where these, $800,000 homes are built, and nobody wants them. Like the design, because like there's all these things with power lines and everything like that, but not to mention the difficulty of reselling that home. Right. And so that's kind of some of the easements we're talking about. And also the soil, right? Because like if the soil is not of a grade or of a type that can actually withstand foundations and streets, then we can't build on it, right? We're trucking in dirt, and then also the topography being too slopey. Both of those physical constraints cost so much money that it can make the development project go from a home run to losing money very quickly. This is where cheap land quietly gets expensive. Okay. So number 3, access, frontage, and traffic. So what does the traffic look like? How busy is it, right? Is it easy to get in and out of this neighborhood? These are realtor conversations, right? You've shown houses in neighborhoods that are difficult to get into and difficult to get out of. They've got one way in and one way out, and there becomes traffic jams at the entrance and exit of these neighborhoods. And it's just hard because most people turn left out of this neighborhood to go to the area of town that they need to work or where the grocery store is. And it's very difficult because the road's so busy, right? So traffic, access, and frontage. How much frontage road do you have? How much access to that road do you have? Is it going to give you flexibility for multiple entrances, or is it going to be able to give you the ability to have a entrance and choose where you want it to be, right? For this master planning. Legal road access, width of the access point, frontage, and its impact on the density, right? Density just means how many lots, how many people are we sticking in this neighborhood? If people can't get there or the road can't handle it, the deal stops right there. Okay. Yeah. So, and then there's geospatial study where they talk about layers, maps, and data, topography, flood zones, wetlands, soil, utilities, roads. It visually shows buildable versus non-buildable land, determines true yield, not a guess, but true yield. Now, there's software systems that can do this. On our world, we have an engineering partner that we go from kind of your due diligence on the real estate side, like this is where I want to put a neighborhood, and I found somebody who's willing to sell or willing to bring the land to the table, right? That's your real estate absorption rate, home prices. This area would be great at this price point, real estate stuff, right? Then the due diligence comes to us where we start knocking out some of these land limitations, topography, and then the biggest one is dealing with the county, public and political reality. So this is where I come in. I go have those conversations with the commissioners, the counselors, the planning development department, the planning and building department. This human factor is huge. Now, we will not have any guarantees from this. We will never know if what they say is what will be the case when we get to the end, because one, elections can happen between that conversation and the reality of the development. But two, their constituents, they can have conversations, they can talk to other commissioners, and like their opinion can change, and there's not much we can do. So I always kind of frame myself as working with this authority having jurisdiction, like whatever their economic development plan is, how can we sit inside of it and help them bring it to life with our own capital, right? So that they can deliver on the promises when they got elected, right? Planning staff, council members, mayor, reading posture, not promises, understanding what the council actually cares about. Like literally in the county I live in, I've talked to one of the commissioners and they are anti-density, like not approving neighborhoods over 100 homes. And it's like one of the most desirable counties, best schools. People want to move here. People want to build here. And they're just being very difficult when it comes to density. And so, and then understanding what the council actually cares about: trees, sidewalks, green space, park, pool. Like what is it that will make this neighborhood a net benefit that they can point out and pat themselves on the back? Because all we want to do is put grease on the tracks to bring this thing to reality. And that political kind of hurdle is a big deal on the way. Approvals move faster when development solve problems the city already has. That's what I was saying is like, hey, what's your dream outcome for development? If a developer were to do X, Y, and Z, it would make your day and it would help you in your case for what you're doing in your job. And how do we rest inside of that and bring that to a reality for these developers? Now, at this stage, we kind of see the risks, we kind of see the cost clearer, the yield is clearer. It makes our projecting of what we think this neighborhood can be way closer. And this puts us in a position where now we can go and we can do preliminary engineering. So this is the first time we're going to deploy money. We'll talk about preliminary engineering in our next video, but this is the point where it gets serious, right? We're actually going to put dollars into the project and get feedback. Or we'll get to the end of this and we'll come back to you and say, hey, this isn't going to be a good development for a neighborhood. Let's workshop some other ideas. Like maybe the county said, well, we would approve storage units, or we would approve X, Y, and Z, a shopping center. And then we can start going down those roads as the county and commissioner and the lot itself kind of drives us that way. But our primary is going to be focusing on these neighborhoods, townhomes, those side of things, the things that we're familiar with as agents. Okay. That's it for this video. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you next time. We'll talk about preliminary engineering. Peace.